Hey, are you looking for the right CSRD solution? In this podcast episode, I'm going to talk to Irmak, who's a sustainability manager at the BBVA. And they are looking for the right CSRD solution, and they have a lot of challenges that we talk about, and they have a certain approach, but they also have a parent company that does a CSRD report. So the whole situation is quite complex. And if you feel like you're also in a very complex situation, I definitely recommend you to listen to this podcast episode because I think it can be super helpful to you. Hi, Irma. And first of all, thank you so much for taking your time. For those of the listeners that don't know you yet, can you tell us a little bit about your position as sustainability manager and how did you get into this?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Irmak. I've been working in sustainability field for about 7 years now, and my background is in environmental engineering. And over the course of my career, I have had chance to work with some of the biggest names in the FMCG sector and big four firms. But the area I really focused on is sustainable finance. And right now, I'm the sustainability manager at Garanti BBVA International, GBI in short, which is a part of the BBVA group headquartered in Spain. And my role here is pretty exciting because basically I'm the main responsible for overseeing all the sustainability related initiatives.
Yeah, I'm super interested to dive more into that. Maybe can you tell us a little bit about, I'm sure most people already know BBVA, but can you tell us a little bit about your company and especially what status of sustainability are you in right now? Have you done sustainability reports in the past? What is the current outlook?
Sure. So GBI is a mid-sized European bank established in the Amsterdam in Netherlands and since 1990. And we are serving to retail, corporate, and institutional clientele. And we offer some financial solutions to our customers and counterparties in the areas of trade and commodity finance, corporate banking, and global markets. And as GBI, we also provide targeted retail banking services in the Netherlands and Germany. And especially all sustainable and CSRD is a really interesting topic for us at GBI because we kind of sit in a unique spot. On one hand, we are operating in the EU, but we are also a part of a much larger group that's also based in the EU. So with these CSRD regulations, it looks like probably we are going to take advantage of consolidated reporting options since that's also allowed by the local regulation. And for example, in terms of our sustainability journey, so the BBVA group started their sustainability journey with specific focus on sustainable finance back in 2007. And about 7 years ago, the group made the sustainability as their core strategic priority. So this isn't exactly new for us as an institution, but what really kicked things into a high gear, especially for the smaller subsidiaries like us, was when the ECB published their climate and environmental risk management expectations in 2022. So that legal push was really a game changer for us. It brought about more real, tangible integration of sustainability, not just for the teams directly responsible, but across the whole organization. And in terms of where we are right now, I know you have covered this in earlier episodes, but even though we've got an internal kind of a solid ESG data collection system in place, I believe that there's still a lot of room for improvement in terms of a more systematic ESG data management. And another important step for us back in our sustainability journey, generally, financial institutions are tend to focus on their indirect impacts rather than their direct impact. And we believe that we are a kind of an exception there because we took this also very seriously. And last year, as GBI, we went through an external verification process and received ISO 4001 Environmental Management System certification. And this certification helps us effectively manage our indirect impact and also our direct impact. And this is something we are really proud of.
Okay, yeah, that sounds super interesting. So the ISO certification you just mentioned, is this already connected to a sustainability report, or have you done sustainability reports in the recent years, or how is your view on the reporting side so far?
So the certification doesn't necessarily require you to publish some sustainability data. However, it requires you to manage and like track your progress in some of the environmental focus data points such as scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. And in terms of sustainability reporting as a standalone organization, no, not yet. We haven't published any sustainability reports. While sustainability has had a presence in our annual report for some time, we haven't yet produced a fully comprehensive sustainability report aligned with some sector standards such as GRI or TCFD, etc. It's something we are working towards, but we haven't had that experience yet.
Okay. And if I understand correctly, with the CSRD, you will have the report then you said in 25 or in 26 about 25, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe can you give us a little introduction, like how are you approaching the CSRD reporting? Do you already use different ESG tools, or how is your general approach to the topic?
So when it comes to ESRS topics, for example, like I mentioned earlier, the decision of which ESRS topics are going to be in the focus ultimately going to come from our parent group BBVA. But I can maybe tell you that, like, given the current BBVA's commitment to sustainability, certain areas are already a big focus for us. For example, E1 climate change, E2 pollution, S3 affected communities, and G1 governance are all key aspects for us, and they are already integrated our corporate sustainable strategy. We are already keeping track of those metrics internally, etc. So, like, I believe that as a group, we are also going to focus on these areas too. And in terms of the integration of the CSRD into the whole organization, maybe I can share you that, like, currently, it's a little bit tough to give you an exact figure or number to how many people are involved in this process, but roughly 20 people from different departments are actively engaging in it. And put that in perspective, we are relatively a small organization with about 250 employees in total. So that means that, like, almost 1 in 10 of us working directly on CSRD at the moment.
Okay.
And maybe also I can give you a little bit about what was our experience with the CSRD related tools.
Yes, please.
Right now, yeah, we haven't fully committed to any tools yet, but we are definitely exploring our options. I mean, you have probably seen how crazy the CSRD tool market has become recently. It's just exploding, and also, like, trying to navigate through all these choices is kind of tough for us. We definitely want to automate this process, but finding the right tools is a little bit time consuming and honestly a bit exhausting. There are so many platforms, each with its own strengths, its own weaknesses, but making sure it fits with our own specific needs takes a lot of research.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. And I hear it a lot from companies that are looking for a tool and they know that they need help with the CSRD. They don't want to do like all the data structure by themselves. But
Exactly.
then like on the CSRD list we have now over 120 different solutions there. So this just shows how big the market is and how difficult it is to like actually orientate and navigate through that. But from your perspective, like if you're trying to navigate and find the right solution, what would be the main criteria? Do you have like must criteria where you're like, oh, we are looking for a solution that definitely offers this, or also have this option? Or I'm trying to like see what is important to you. What are first steps? How can you narrow down this like sheer infinite number of solutions to like a number of solutions that is maybe a little bit more accessible?
Yeah, so absolutely, we have a short list of must-have criteria and maybe some nice-to-haves like should-haves, etc. So first and foremost, we need a tool which has a user-friendly interface. Because since multiple departments will be providing input and extracting the output, we need something convenient that even people who aren't necessarily familiar with sustainability and they can also easily navigate through this tool. That's really important for us. And I think that's also very important to making sure the process runs smoothly over year and year. And secondly, we are also looking for a tool which is tailored specifically for financial institutions. This is kind of important for us because uh, it needs to be able to handle some financial data and integrate information from our own loan books, for example. And this is also crucial to help us meet the legal disclosure expectations, especially with all the CSRD requirements, including sector-specific standards to be published in the near future. So a platform that brings together sustainable data and the financial input would be ideal for us.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
maybe,
just
yes, please.
1 second. Because I can definitely see how this complex to like have sector specific data or look for a solution that includes this sector specific data, which is not out yet. So it's always a little bit difficult to like see what solutions have to offer and what they theoretically will add in the future if it's not there yet. So I see that this is definitely a complicated task.
Exactly. It becomes also make our lives a little bit harder to because in addition to CSRD as banks, we are also within the scope of other sustainability related reporting disclosures, such as as I mentioned before, ECB's environmental and risk management expectations are also requesting some disclosures. We have SFDR regulation, for example. We have a coming Layer 3 regulations for smaller sizes banks. So if I'm going to use for different tools for all these different regulatory expectations, then it's become unmanageable at some point for us. So what we are looking for is a more end-to-end solution to cover all these sustainability reportings. And maybe I should also mention that in terms of nice to have or should have criteria, we would like to see, for example, a benchmarking against our peers and industry standards, because it is important for us to track the progress and staying competitive in the market. So a tool that can offer us this feature will be highly beneficial for us. And for example, it is also important for us to a tool which is aligned with other key frameworks, which can be voluntary ones, ISSB standards, for example, GRI, TCFD, and of course the ESRS to ensure fully regulatory compliance and ensuring the competitive advantage.
Yeah, I completely get that. Also, the benchmarking part is something where I think this is super valuable because just creating the report then doesn't make a company sustainable. Just if you create the report and then see, hey, what areas do we need to improve? What areas are already good? And as soon as one has this additional information, I feel then it can get super beneficial. But I also went down the rabbit hole of benchmarking and how solutions are trying to provide that. But then again, it's quite difficult because the XBRL standard is not completely out there yet. So it's a question, how do you gain all this data? How can you then compare it? How can you create a benchmark? So I know that some solutions are already on that, and I'm trying to be in discussion with them, how are they doing this? How can they improve it? But to be honest, it's quite difficult as long as not everything is fully out there yet. I hope that in 2025, when the first reports are out, that we then get closer to this point, because then we have some more data points and can look into that. But makes a lot of sense that you include benchmarking as one of the important criteria. And but I see that's very difficult. Another point I would be very interested in is what are the participants in your company to make a decision on an ESG tool? Because especially with the structure you mentioned with the parent company, I can guess that it's quite complicated because some decisions are made with the parent company, some decisions are made with you. So how much freedom do you have to like choose a ESG solution?
Yeah, in terms of freedom, I must say that it is quite limited because it's going to be like a centralized management reporting progress. So yes, we are not going to be super flexible to select the right tool, etc., etc. However, like since we are a separate subsidiary, of course, we can just select any tool which is going to help us to contribute to the consolidated version. And also we can use this tool to internally track our own progress somehow. And like maybe I can also just a little bit summarize what was the process for us in terms of exploring this CSRD tool. So mainly we just divided the whole process into the three main phases. First, we just listed our needs and we assessed our needs. And after that, we started the tool evaluation and finally the pilot testing. And first, like as I mentioned, we identify our specific reporting needs and sustainability goals to be tracked, for example. And we have already completed this part, so we know what we are looking for exactly. And then we started to evaluate various tools based on their features, integration capabilities with our own existing solution, systematic programs, for example, and also compliance with CSRD regulations. We are at this second phase right now. And finally, we would like to conduct a pilot test with the top candidates to assess their practical performance, for example. And in terms of the stakeholders, yes, the holding group and the decision makers are a big part of the stakeholders. However, when we are trying to engage with some solution providers, many key stakeholders from our sustainability department, of course, IT department, financial reporting department, and also the compliance department to ensure the fully integration with CSRD expectations are involved in this process to provide a comprehensive evaluation and successful implementation of the tool.
Okay. Yeah, sounds very interesting. And I like the 3-step approach. Like we do something similar where we're trying to like do a needs assessment and scan the market in the first place, then try to narrow it down so that you like see some criteria. And at the end, then of course, you need those demo sessions to like really see how the solution works and how can it integrate and all of this. So yeah, I think that's a very, very well thought through approach. I have 2 more questions I would like to ask you to try to stay still in time. The first one is when you're now looking back at all the different steps that you have already done, what is something that is like maybe more complicated than you expected, where you were a little bit surprised that this actually takes so much time? Or maybe on the contrary, what was maybe easier than you thought, where you were like, oh, this is actually, once you do it, it's actually quite doable.
Maybe like the examples that I'm going to give are not fully focused on the tool selection process, but maybe it can give you an idea of the overall process. So one of the most challenging aspects was integrating the whole organization into that process. So it wasn't just about adopting a new tool or meeting regulatory requirements. It involved also aligning various departments and teams with a unified approach to sustainability reporting. So coordinating across different functions, each with their own priorities on daily tasks, etc., and processes, like it proved to be more complex than we initially anticipated, to be honest. And on the other hand, like I must say that I know that there is a debate ongoing in regarding to like regulatory explanations, etc. But exploring the regulatory expectations was surprisingly easier than expected for us because there are lots of good references out there. Like with the wealth of all these resources and guidances available, understanding these requirements of the CSRD was manageable on our side, and the clarity provided by the not regulation itself maybe, but with all these resources and the support, for example, we gained from the industry groups, working groups, etc., helps us to streamline our compliance efforts and making this part of the progress and process at least a little bit more straightforward.
Oh yeah, I'm super glad to hear that. Can you give a couple of examples, like what resources were super helpful, or just for people that are also looking, like it doesn't have to be like a good order or something, just like some ideas where people can look to find
Yeah.
resources, because I always get questions about this.
Sure. I'm going to give a very local example at this point. For example, our like in terms of in Netherlands, like the local governmental body of CSRD related issues has published a frequently asked questions list, and it includes like very basic and also very complex questions, and it just changed our whole world. Like we with basic some question and answers format, I can understand what CSR they expect from us with that specific point by not consuming lots of time searching web, etc. I found this type of guidance very useful. And also, maybe I can also refer to some low consultancy firms, some big four companies are publishing some like very brief outlines and some information throughout the website. It is important to check their uh, publishing dates because it can just have some outdated information. So
Of
if
course.
they can just check the date of published documents and then refer to some contents, I think they can be also very useful.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a very good recommendation. I see that we are already over the time. So do you have any important thing that I missed to ask?
No, I think we covered the main points truly. And if any additional questions come up, or if there's anything more specific that the listeners would like to know, I'm happy to address those as well.
Oh, perfect. That's so kind of you. So thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope that we can talk very soon.
Yeah, same as well. Thank you for this opportunity, Daniel.
Hey, if you come this far, thank you very much for listening to the AtlasZero podcast. If you're interested in this topic, we just launched the AtlasZero Navigator, which is basically a product compiled of all the interviews we ever done, all the materials we either created or collected, comprised into one product. It basically helps you to understand all the sustainability reporting requirements of the EU, and we really think it's super helpful. So if you're interested, definitely check out the link below and check out our product. And also, and I have to ask this, please like and subscribe to our channel. Like, it helps us a ton to reach more people. And at the end, our goal is to help as many companies as possible. So you can help us a little bit in achieving that. Thank you very much. And I hope I see you very soon.